December 18th, 1848, on a cold Georgia morning, William and Ellen Craft prepared for the journey that was before them. They had a long journey before them, and it was going to be hard, and they would have many obstacles. And not many before them had succeeded, or even worse, survived the journey that they were about to take. They needed God's favor in the days before them to make it. Their hope for freedom is what strode them forward, is what pressed them on toward their goal. That's why I believe that they deserve to be honored today. The first step of their journey was to get Ellen ready. They had to get her dressed up. Part of the plan was she had to dress up like a man, like a male master. Back in slavery times, they had to dress her up like a man. So that's what they proceeded to do. They dressed her in pants and jacket and coat. There was a few other things that they had to do to get her ready. They had to tie a scarf around her chin so that no one would see the fact that she doesn't have a beard or whiskers. They had to tie her arm in a sling so that if along the way anyone had asked her to write her name, because she was a slave, she couldn't write. So they did that and got her ready. And before they left, they had gotten everything ready. Before they left, they knelt there in the little cottage and prayed that the Lord would be with them in the days ahead. The reason why Ellen was able to do this, Ellen was the daughter of her master, and her mother was a slave. So she had very fair skin, and she looked white, and so that's how they were able to dress her up this way. And she would actually look like a white master once they had gotten her all dressed up. The journey ahead of them, there would be very many obstacles. The first of these obstacles was in the very first leg of the journey on the train ride to Savannah. Ellen ended up being seated by her master's friend. Luckily, he did not notice her, and they were able to proceed to the next step on their travel. At the same time, William was in another cart, and the cabinet maker that he worked for had gotten on the train and was actually looking for him. But just before he was able to get to William's cart, the bell rang for the train to leave, and the cabinet maker left. So they were able to proceed to the next leg of their journey, which was they were going to Savannah. All along the way of their travel, they had to pretend that Ellen was sick, because they had dressed her up like a man, and she was an elderly man. They had to pretend like she was sick to keep from them noticing why she wasn't mingling with the other travelers, because that was sort of odd. But because she was sick, they didn't think anything about it. The next obstacle that they had to overcome in Charleston, they almost didn't get to board the boat in Charleston, because they stopped them and was requesting that Ellen write and sign her name for her and her slave, which she had her arm in a sling, but they weren't going to let her proceed until she signed. Luckily, they showed mercy on her and they let them proceed. The final leg of their travel in Baltimore, it was the final leg. They were going from Baltimore to Philadelphia, and once they reached Philadelphia, they would be free. And in Baltimore, when they were boarding the train, they had to show proof that William was her slave, and we're not going to let them on board the train. But luckily, just as the train was about to leave, they let them board the train, and they boarded just as the train was leaving the station. So the train was actually gliding off. Their Christmas Day, 1848, William and Ellen reached their goal of freedom. They had traveled across 6 states and gone through many obstacles, and their hope for the freedom is what pursued them forward. Their freedom for their kids that they would have, and it was very valuable to them, and they pursued it with everything that they had. God was with them all along the way. They prayed all along the way that God would be with them, and He was. And they gained their freedom for the rest of their lives on that 8-day journey.